7 straight wins for Detroit, and mind you, that's half of our last season win total at 14. We're at 32 wins. We're over double the amount of wins we had last year, and we're just past the All-Star break. If you want to talk about a longer streak than the 7 games, if you want to talk about an 8-game streak, you have to go all the way back to the going to work Pistons in the 06-07 season. But this was an offensive disaster show for both teams. This game was revolving around defense, held the Clippers to under 100 points. This was the 12th time the Clippers have been held to under 100. And for Detroit, this was their 6th lowest point total in a win at 106 points. I guess it was tied 6th. But we went from an offensive highlight reel type of game against Atlanta yesterday with 148, the highest scoring total of the season for Detroit, to this. That just shows that this team is mature. I mean, adding these veterans in, having these young guys have to go from that game yesterday and that style at that tempo to this grinded out victory that went all the way until the end. That's really big for this team. And that's going to be big come playoff time. If we're against the Knicks, if we're against Indiana, there's going to be nights where it's going. There's going to be some nights when it's not. But you have to make sure you're ready for every single matchup, every single night. But we're going to get right into a little bit of a breakdown. And the first thing we're looking at isn't a Detroit highlight. It's more of a low light. It's showing the difference from yesterday's game to tonight's game against a scrappy Clippers team. I want you to defense by the about this play. Let me turn off the audio real quick. If you look at them on Malik Beasley right now, they're not going to let them just drop it off to Cade. We broke down a play yesterday. We broke down a lot of Cade Cunningham plays, so check that one out if you haven't seen it yet. But this play is trying to get Tim Hardaway Jr. to get the ball down to Cade Cunningham at the free throw line to set up, maybe bully his guy down, pass to an open shooter. But Chris Dunn isn't having any of that. He knows the shooter Malik Beasley is, but he also sees Cade fronting up. His back is to Chris Dunn. And so this is going to be an easily pick off for Chris Dunn right there. It's going to lead to 2 points for him as well. And one of the things I've noticed over these past 10 games or so, they've been giving Jalen Duren the ball more, letting him have these opportunities. And Cade Cunningham's going to have an advantageous matchup against James Harden, going to be able to blow right past him. Jalen Duren's going to get it, turn Zubats, doesn't even notice what's going on. He should be playing a little bit more left. Bogdanovic is doing something weird we're going to talk about in a second, but Jalen Duren's able to split Zubats, James Harden, get it right to Cade. Easy layup, 2 points, bring the game to a 1-point game. And I think this is planned by Detroit. You're going to have the 2 best defenders in Chris Dunn and Batum on the other side of the court. So you're forcing James Harden and Bogdanovic to have to play defense. Those are the only 2 that can really contribute to this play. And that's also what negates the negative of having Ron Holland in the corner. If you had another shooter, if you had a Malik Beasley, if you had a Tim Hardaway Jr., if you had a Dennis Schroeder in that corner instead of Ron, it would make a little bit more sense. Because if Cade drives in, Bogdanovic stays down like he probably pretty much. That's easy. But after James Harden is already beat, Bogdanovic doesn't go to defend Cade Cunningham. He goes and tries to stay on.
Scored at will.
So
Last night in Atlanta.
Cade Cunningham, easy layup like we already said. Just overall, masterful work from Detroit setting that up, getting the advantages, getting the mismatches you want. But also, I know that the Clippers defenders, those 2 aren't great, Harden and Bogdanovic, but that just can't happen. That's a lapse. That's just odd. But overall, Detroit in these next few games is really going to show who they are. The beginning of this 7-game win streak was against, I believe, was it against Chicago? Maybe there was a game before that, but they won the 2 against Chicago, then won the Charlotte game. I want to see wins against a Boston team, a Denver team. I want to see this team go against some adversity and go against elite teams, because even with tonight, there was no Kawhi Leonard, there was no Norm Powell, but I'm excited to see what the Pistons can do and if they can hold on to this going forward. Go Pistons. Have a great night.